Hello everybody, it is Nicole from iiKiui, and today I have another Mermaid Monday video for you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far, including Fairy Fridays, now that there are a few more videos up on my channel. As a reminder, these will go up every other week, so whenever there is not a Fairy Friday, there will be a Mermaid Monday, and vice versa. So the topic I'm going to talk about today is how I found my style. I think style is a pretty interesting concept because sometimes I think I don't even know my own style. However, there are definitely other artists that have a very distinctive style, and when you look at it, you're just like, it's that person's art. I would say the process of finding my style took a very, very long time. It did not happen overnight or within the year. It took about 10 years just to get to this point. When I was younger, I experimented a lot with different cartoon styles. So, for example, one of them I did a lot was Winx Club. However, I didn't want my style to be Winx Club because that's not unique to me. So I remember I found this thing on DeviantArt that basically helped people find their style. It was a guide, not so much a tutorial, but it was kind of like a guide to assisting you in finding your particular style. And what it said to do was to make a folder that's, I guess, labeled like your style inspiration. And you would drag a bunch of photos in there from people's styles that you liked, or maybe cartoon shows that you like, but not because you like their entire style, but because you like a specific thing about it. So for example, this artist that I liked before, she would draw hair a certain way, and I really liked how she drew it. But then there's other artists that I also liked how she drew hair, and then you would kind of take those concepts and incorporate it into your own. And maybe there's an artist that you like how they draw the lips, or they draw noses, or the eyes, face shapes, body shapes, dynamic poses, whatever you want, into this one folder. And then I would make a list of why do I like this stuff? What do I find fascinating about it? What do I want to incorporate in my own style? And how can I do so, without stealing people's art, right? So after I gathered all the images and you find out exactly what part you like about each specific artist's piece or their style, then I would practice by copying that specific thing. And when I say copy, it is purely for practice. Do not post it on social media and do not share it. Just keep it to yourself, because the whole point of this is to get a feel of how they do it and to kind of get that hand motion and the sense of how does this shape work, what shapes are they using, etc. So after that, you kind of get an idea of how their style is. You want to go back to life drawing, or at least go back to real life. The main reason I say this is because if you start drawing from someone else's style, you're going to end up copying their style. And the best way to prevent that is to take what you learn from copying their style, or at least specific parts of their style, and applying it to real life without referencing their art. So that way you are referencing real life but interpreting it in your own way, while also having certain things ingrained in your mind that you like about their style but don't particularly want to copy it exactly. Hopefully that all makes sense to you guys. But for example, take how an artist draws eyes. They are very specific to an artist's style, and you don't want to copy that exactly how they do it, but maybe you like how they draw eyelashes. So when you go and reference a real eye, not their eye, you will interpret it in your own way, in the sense that you'll keep in mind that you like how they do eyelashes, but maybe the way you draw the shape of the eye or how you color in the pupil will be completely different, which will make it your own without having to worry about stealing someone else's style or copying it to not be unique. And by referencing real life, this prevents that immediate accusation of like, you're copying this person's style, or this looks like someone else's style. And this way you can interpret things in your own way, and you'll know it's from your own brain and your own mind instead of purely somebody else's style. I just realized that this kind of went off in a different direction than I thought. I was supposed to talk about how I got my own style, but I kind of gave you guys tips, I guess, on how to find your own. Anyways, with that being said, I did do a lot of life drawing, and I also studied realism more just to get a sense of how human anatomy works and how you would draw the eye realistically compared to a more cartoony style. I think it's important to know the fundamentals, or at least practice realism, so that you can interpret it into a cartoony style afterwards. So there was definitely a phase in my art journey that I just drew eyes and lips and noses realistically to get the feeling of how is it shaded, how do I do this in, I guess, how do I make it more realistic? How do I shade it to make it look like an eye, pupil, and iris and shiny? Or how do I make this lip look glossy, etc. And from that, I then simplified more. So when I first entered art school, I definitely had the style that you see in the elementals. That was my main style, and once I finished art school, which is now, I feel like I now have a more developed cartoon style. At least I would like to think so. Whenever I would draw and look at other artists, I would notice some artists do extreme detail, and that was something that I always wanted to do, but I could never really get to that point. Whenever I would try to add detail, it felt like I was exerting so much effort to try and add more and more and more that it just never turned out the way I wanted. And once I started drawing more in this style that I am currently in now, I realized that my style has more simplicity to it, and I ended up liking it. I felt like the more detail that I added, the more crowded the drawing felt, and ultimately I decided that a lot of detail is not my style. So hopefully this all kind of explains how I got to my style that I'm at today. Of course, it doesn't go into like nitty-gritty details because that would take forever. And I already went off onto a little tangent on how to find your style. So hopefully you guys all enjoyed the video, and with that, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Keep drawing, keep painting, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!